the Purple Rose Theater getting ready to present Sherlock Holmes and the Adventure of the Ghost Machine. We have director Angie Kane and actors Caitlin Kavanagh and Paul Stroley. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, Bart.
Thank
Happy to be here.
Yeah, and welcome back to the stage.
Indeed. Yeah. It's good to be back.
It's been a long 2+ years.
Yes.
This is the first that Purple Rose is back, right?
They came back in the winter with Under Siege. This is the second.
Yeah, so really, this is an example of one of the industry's super hard hit by the pandemic. What did everybody do?
What did you do, Angie?
I got in my car and drove across the country. I did some traveling. I did some sightseeing. I relocated my life, actually. I moved to Salt Lake City. And I have been working outside of the industry, largely. I've done some things on Zoom. I do voice work as well. But this is my first back with on-stage theater. So it's been a long 2 years.
Yeah, and I know you've had some jobs, but the live theater experience just hasn't been there.
Yeah, no, it's one. Like you said, it's one of the hardest hit industries, like restaurants and things like that. And for those of us that I can't speak for Caitlin, but I know that for me, it's my favorite of the arts. I mean, of the performing arts over film and television and things like that. Live theater has always been, the most immediate and visceral. So to be without it this long is just really, it's been hard. It's been a long stretch. But I've been doing a lot of writing to sort of fill up the time. I'm a playwright as well, and worked on a couple of plays, and voiceover stuff and audiobooks and things like that, which is Caitlin has been segueing in there.
Yeah, I ended up moving in with my grandparents at the beginning of COVID, so I was helping them get through this time. They're both in their 90s. And they're my besties, but work-wise,
and they're hilarious.
Yeah. But work-wise, I did voiceover, audiobooks, a little bit of television. I was able to do a couple projects there, but like Paul said, it's just there's nothing like being in a live theater with everybody there all at once, and that's something that just couldn't really happen the past couple of years. But we're really happy to be back.
Well, I think the audience is happy to get back to the Purple Rose, and Angie, Paul, and Caitlin are no strangers to the audiences at Purple Rose. I think all of you, in every case, for more than a decade, have been involved with Purple Rose. I think, right?
I'm approaching a decade. Yeah.
Not quite as long for me. This is, I think, my fourth show there, fifth. But it's been concentrated. My first show was 4 years ago, and you're an old veteran.
Well, I've only, like you said, mine's concentrated as well. I've been there since 2017, I believe. So, yeah.
So, Sherlock Holmes, very popular subject at the Purple Rose. I've never heard of this play, and I understand it's brand new.
Brand new?
Yeah. It's the third world premiere of the show. All of the Sherlock plays have been world premieres there. As you know from attending as much as you have, Bart, that the Purple Rose is known for the amount of world premieres that they present. I think looking back at the history of it, it's something like upwards of 70% of what they've presented has been world premieres. And this is the third play by David McGregor, who wrote the first two, Adventure of the Elusive Ear, and then the second one was Adventure of the Fallen Souffle. And it's just, we're back at 221B Baker Street, same beautiful set and a lot of the same actors, all the same actors, really.
Same actors.
Many,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, really?
Some of the same characters, too.
Yeah.
I saw the Fallen Souffle, and I've seen your set. I saw a photo on Purple Rose this morning. Beautiful set.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
As actors, it's going to be a dream to be playing on a set so meticulous and perfect and detailed. It's a kind of, you compete as an actor with the set.
Yeah, I guess you sometimes do, because it's not just the set you're competing with, because the costume design and the lighting design and the sound design. Purple Rose just has the people that are at the top of their game. So, you're competing against all this beauty, and then, I don't know if the person.
I like to think about it as elevating each other. They elevate each other. It's
That's a good
stunning.
point.
It
So
really
you rise
is, yeah.
to the occasion.
Yes.
Well, and there's something so beautiful about, not only is this set gorgeous and the costumes are gorgeous and many of the people you know, but especially during this time when we have been away for 2 years. I just remember walking onto that set and just feeling like, like so much has changed in the past couple of years, but this is still here and still alive and still new, but still feeling like home. And it's an honor to be on that set for sure.
Did you have to brush cobwebs off or anything?
Oh yeah.
Well, that gets covered with all the sanitizing instruments with the COVID protocols and all that.
Yeah.
The other thing too that's great about the space, in addition to, you mentioned the beauty of the set, but that room, the Purple Rose Theater, you're not observing that set. You're in the rooms with them.
Yeah.
You know, you're in the rooms of Sherlock Holmes. I mean, you reach out and touch it, and I think that immediacy and that intimacy is really one of the appeals of that place.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the show. It's funny.
It's,
There is laughter.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny, but it's a lot of things, this one. It's
Sure
and
is.
Angie will, I'm sure, speak to that
Who-
better.
The Ghost Machine. So it involves two famous historical figures.
Correct. Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla are going to show up in this one. So we get to see, Rusty Miwa and David Bendina's interpretation of those real people within the context of this, fictional but exciting story. So we get to see a little bit of what has been scripted for us in history, and what we do with it is fun.
And those two people, they actually did interact in
In real
their real life.
They did, yes.
And not comfortably. They didn't
No.
care for one another.
They were competing for essentially the standard of electricity.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're back as
Watson.
Mr. Watson.
Yes.
And that's a recurring role
Oh
for you.
yeah, it's just, and it's like putting on comfortable shoes. It's wonderful to be. It's nice because it's similar. When you're playing the same character, there's going to be similarity, but the plays are so distinctly different. And that's one thing we always like to stress with people, is that enjoying this installment is not in any way reliant on seeing the first two. It's a freestanding story. You're caught up. Two minutes into the show, you're caught up. So not that there's anything to really catch up, because, like I said, freestanding story. But this one, in addition to all the humorous elements that it has, and Watson is thrown some of that, which is nice. He gets some jokes. There's so much more to this one. It's so much. There's a supernatural element. There's a scientific element. There's a historical element. So it's very layered. It's very layered. It's not just like, lighthearted comedy. There's a lot going on in this one.
But David did write this as the third part of a trilogy, right?
He did, yeah.
So, but it does stand, as you said, it stands alone.
It does.
Very much so. Very much.
And there's got to be a love interest, and I think that's where you come in.
I'm, rather than the love interest, I am the villain. I am Professor Moriarty's daughter. So through the three, have been, like Paul said, it's like putting on comfortable clothes, but it's also, I'm a different person than I was however many years ago we started this. Feels like a lifetime. But so she has grown as well, which is really cool. And, I feel very lucky as a young woman to be able to play a role like this, because I feel like you said, it often is the love interest. And so to be able to be something different is really cool and really exciting to have that strength behind that. So, yeah.
So Rob Camus, who plays Irene Adler,
Yeah.
as a love interest
To Sherlock.
opposite Mark Coulson as Sherlock. David refers to this series of plays as the Irene Adler mysteries, because Irene was the love interest in the actual Sherlock Holmes stories in The Scandal of Bohemia, but she was killed off. The character was killed off. And in this, Irene Adler sort of stays with Sherlock as a character through this. So there's a love interest in all three of the stories.
And if
It's
you know
just-
Sarab Camus, she is full of love.
Yes.
So there is no lack of love in these
Yes.
stories, for sure. Yeah.
Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, he didn't seem to care how his characters were treated after he was done with them. You really have a lot of leeway into developing who Watson is. Do you take advantage of that?
You mean as far as looking to other sources for the character?
Well, just making him your own.
That's one of the things that they sort of say at the Purple Rose, and I might not get this right, so to be correct, but they hire, what do they say? They hire people, not actors.
Yes.
And it's they really the trust and the process there is so welcoming and so kind that you're really free to do your best work. You're free to fail. And you make the greatest discoveries when you fail. You don't learn anything from successes. You learn from the failures. So that's the real joy of that place, is that you're able to really, have that creative freedom to just. And Angie, as a director, is cut from the same cloth. She's a wonderful director, and she allows people to creates an environment where people will do their best work.
Is it hard to direct people that have had, the credentials that Paul and Caitlin have had?
It's fantastic. It's wonderful. I mean, I was involved in the first Sherlock, The Elusive Ear, as their stage manager, and I've worked with both of them in various settings. So it was a blessing, I think, for us to come into this project together with the roles that they had already played. And what I know about them and what they know about me, I think it's lent itself to a pretty creative atmosphere.
Yeah. There's trust there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's professional theater and high level professional theater. Also, you mentioned you've been writing plays while you were on the lockdown.
Hiatus, we're calling it.
But I was reading about one of your plays that it has had 1,000 performances.
Yes, almost 1,400 actually.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a one-man show I toured with called Straight Up with a Twist. The cast parties were very boring, but I went all over the country with that for about 9 years. It's an impressive number of performances, but it was also stretched out over 9 years, so it wasn't like it was contiguous, But it was a lot of fun.
Did it change?
It morphed a little bit. I would change pop culture references that were in it, and when you go over that big a stretch of time, you can't go back to jokes that reference things that happened 9 years ago. But it's autobiographical, so it was kind of my own story, over the years. But it was a lot of fun.
Well, this show, because of its schedule, it's the summer show.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, you feel a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
going to be a long run. I'm most nervous to wear a corset that long, to be totally honest.
No.
But everybody who's there is just so supportive of each other that if you're going to do a run this long, it's with people who are so loving and so kind. And if you're feeling like you're stale, they're going to support you. Yeah. So I think in any other place maybe I would be more nervous, but I'm really not, because I feel like I'm going to be okay. Because I have all the people I love.
We have a fantastic understudy team on this. So, especially with COVID still affecting our lives, it is absolutely, they will see the stage during this run. So, and being able to work with each other so easily is like you said, it's a blessing.
Yeah. And you mentioned the history of particular actors with the Purple Rose, like the decade or so. The understudies that we're working with on this, we're lucky enough to play the roles, but I think just about all of them have more extensive histories with the Purple Rose than we do. I mean, my understudy, Ryan, I know he's done about 10 or 12 shows over the years there. So it's the same, family.
So you guys going to be running back and forth between your home base and Chelsea all summer? Or are you going to?
I mean, once opening happens, I'm going to go back to Salt Lake City, but I will be back to see it. Yeah.
I head back to Chicago on Sunday nights, and I drive out Wednesday mornings.
Well, you have. I've seen you in some of the Dick Wolf shows.
Oh, Chicago PD, and
it
wasn't Empire. Well, it's not Dick Wolf, but yeah.
So the shows, the fact that they're actually filming Empire and the Dick Wolf shows in Chicago, that gives you a great opportunity for people like you.
Yeah, no, it's great, and it's all like one little. You've been in a couple of them, haven't you?
I did Chicago Fire, yeah.
And also, Caitlin was also on the Showtime series Rust, American Rust.
Okay.
Jeff Daniels one. She had a lovely role on that.
Yeah.
So we find the work where we can find it.
Yeah, you'll see him more places than just Purple Rose stage in Chelsea. So it opens this weekend.
Our previews start Friday, this
Okay.
upcoming Friday,
15th.
and then the
Mhm.
official press opening is the 22nd.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We got the previews beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
And the previews are great there because they do talkbacks after every preview performance, and the playwright and the director come out, and you're really part of the process. You weigh in with your opinions,
Yeah.
and a lot of theaters don't do that, and the work always gets better because of it.
It
Yeah,
does. It's
for
a
sure.
rehearsal. It's a working rehearsal.
And you might see things that nobody else gets to see because we
Mhm.
change them after a
Mm.
preview or something like that. You know, so my mom gets very excited to see see the changes and see the process. You know, it's like a backstage look kind of. for
Awesome.
previews.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
DVD
Yes.
extras.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I hope you have a great run and full seats all summer long.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you very
so
much.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Thank you.
Yeah, break a leg.
Hey,
Hey.
thanks.
Sherlock Holmes and the Adventure of the Ghost Machine, starring Caitlin Kavanaugh and Paul Stroley, directed by Angie Kane. Coming up on JTV, we've got